Last week, it was a disaster, a total reset week, and I predicted it. And to tell you the truth, if you look back through the last few months, throughout the entire winter, I have been great at predicting when the fishing's going to be bad. I've got a prediction for this week, and it's actually a pretty good one. So let's take a look at a few pictures, then we'll get into the report, and I'll let you know what I think is going to happen. And I think you're going to like this week's report. So let's take a look at these pictures and we'll get into it. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta, and this is the February 26th report. And pardon me if I break down a little bit. I've got a bit of an emotional intro here for you. I will not be on the river this week. I have some prior commitments that I have to take care of. And you know, when I say that, I think that's the first time I've been able to say that out loud without breaking down. But I will not be on the river next week, and maybe that's a sign that I'm finally growing up. I'm becoming an adult. I'm taking care of my commitments, and I will not be on the river. I said it, and I said it right to your face. So with that, I have to ask everyone that's out this coming week to make sure you send me the reports. I will not be on the river, but I will be doing a report next week, and I'm going to need your input. So if you're out here, I know you're going to do well. Send me a report at scooper, SCOOPER 9561032 at gmail.com, and that will really help me formulate my report. And by the way, I've talked to Joey Price, I've talked to Christian, I've talked to Coach Ted's going to be out here. I've got a lot of fingers out there, so I will have an idea of what's going on. I'll have a good report for you. So with that, let's get into some news. The first thing I want to talk about is I guess a week or so ago, I did a bait making video with Michael Jessup from Bait Chucking Lures. And remember, Michael has a custom made bait package that we're going to be have a little drawing for. If you've watched that video, and the video is called, let's see, what did we call it? Get Hooked DIY Bait Making. If you haven't watched that, check it out. Leave a comment, and as long as you watch the video and leave a comment, you will be entered in the drawing next week. And I believe that is, do I have the date on that? Whatever it is, it's next week's report. We will announce the winner of the bait package that Michael is going to put together. And what we're going to do is we'll announce the winner. I'll get your contact information. I'll give you Michael's information, and he is going to put a bait package together that is custom for you. The baits that you want, the colors that you want, it'll be a total custom deal. So if you haven't watched the Get Hooked DIY bait making video, check that out. Leave a comment, and you'll be entered in the drawing to win the bait package. All right, next up, Real Custom Boat Works has their Coast Guard vessel inspection. That's going to be Sunday, March 29th. They're also going to have a swap meet. It's a free swap meet. It's going to be right here at Paradise Point out in the parking lot. If you have any questions, give Jim a call, 209-915-9880. We also have coming up the Central Valley swap meet, which is going to be in Modesto. That's going to be Saturday, March 21st out at Whiskey Jack's. That's at 1000 Kansas Avenue. They're going to have a raffle. They're going to have, it's not only fishing, but it's outdoor equipment. Everything that they make from the raffle and what comes in for what it costs to get a table out there is all going to be going to the Cast for a Cause, which is a foundation that helps, I'll say, underprivileged kids or kids that don't get outdoors a chance to get out and go fishing and introduce them to the outdoors. And I will be out there at the Cast for a Cause booth. So if you guys from Modesto get out there and you want to come out and see me, I would really appreciate that. Talk to some of you guys down in Modesto that I don't get to talk to a whole lot. So that's going to be the Central Valley Swap Meet, and that's out at, what is it again, March 21st. Last but not least, we have the Bass Hole tackle swap. That's going to be Sunday, March 1st. And again, I have commitments. I have to miss the Bass Hole tackle swap, which is killing me because I know it's going to be great this year. I talked to Rob. He's already got 41 tables all set to go right there in the parking lot at the Bass Hole. That's going to be 9 to 1 on what date is that? What did I say it was? March 1st. 41 booths already up there. If you have any questions, call Rob at 925-813-9485. And remember, the next Bass Hole Teams Tournament is coming up March 8th. That's going to be out at Orawood. So lots of stuff coming up. We also have the grand opening of the NorCal Bass Hideout. That's going to be right here at Paradise Point again. That's going to be grand opening 2/28. Paradise Point is going to be right after the NorCal Bass Tournament. If you guys have any questions, call Dave at 209-443-0814. And that's the NorCal Bass Hideout. It's a new tackle shop, primarily bass Delta related. It's going to be right out here at Paradise Point. So with that, let's get into a little bit of what's going on up at Clear Lake. I talked to Dave, and you know, Clear Lake had a disaster last week. Not a disaster, it's wintertime conditions. Lots of fronts moving in. There was snow, super cold weather, just freezing conditions, and it was a bit of a reset week. But what is predicted is about 10 days of good weather up there. So basically, Dave is saying all Clear Lake needs is a few days of good weather, and things are going to start happening. This is the time of year that, you know, as we get this warming temperature, the fish that are at 30 and 40 feet deep, he predicts are going to come into 20 or 30 feet, and the fish that are at 20 or 30 feet are going to get right up on the bank. So I would highly recommend for anybody that's thinking about going up to Clear Lake to keep an eye on it. As long as we get 2 or 3 days of good weather and we get a decent weather prediction, that place is going to turn on. Dave is suggesting that especially for the guys that aren't coming up there and hardcore tournament anglers, guys that may not have live scope, this is the time of year you can go run the banks, you can throw underspins, you can throw jerk baits, you can throw, you know, just go up there and junk fish, run the bank without forward facing sonar, and things are going to really start happening up there. Also, this is basically when the big bait bite can start, and there's going to be some big toads coming out of Clear Lake in the next month throughout the summer. But now is the time you want to get up there before all the tournaments hit and it starts getting a lot of pressure. If you have any questions, make sure you call Dave out at Clear Lake Outdoors, and all of his information is in the comments, or excuse me, is in the remarks for this video. So I've got his number down there. So give him a call and see what's going on for up-to-date information. I didn't get any reports from up at Don Pedro. We'll try to pick some of those reports up next week. I'm sure that's last week was kind of a difficult fishery, but again, like everything else, it should be turning on. So let's talk about what's going on here on the California Delta. And I know everyone is really interested in the largemouth bass. So we'll focus in on that, and we'll focus in on some of the tournaments. And what's happening at the tournaments is really what I've seen out here, and it's really a predictor of what's going to go on in this next week or two. But let's talk about stripers. For some reason, there seems to be quite a few resident fish in the system. This week, I finally picked up a couple stripers on chatterbaits. I haven't been throwing a lot of chatterbaits, but I picked them up this week as the water clarity dropped. I thought I was going to have to run around a little more, but throw some vibrating jigs, throw some blades, things like that. So I threw chatterbaits, and Didn't really help me out with the largemouth bass, but I did pick up a couple of decent keeper stripers, and that was the word from a lot of people that were out there, especially, you know, throwing blades. For some reason, there's a decent, not a lot of fish, but a decent amount of stripers in the system. The guys that are out there fishing for them are catching them. They're not catching them in record numbers or even limit numbers, but they're out there, and the bigger fish obviously are out farther. They're out around Liberty and out on the Sacramento side, but here in the Central Delta, guys are catching keeper size 18 to 22 inch fish. And you know, just not a lot of people going out targeting them. So if you are a striper guy, might not be a bad time to get out here and give it a try. We got some good weather coming in. For whatever reason, they're here. And maybe, I know last year wasn't a great striper year, at least here in the Central Delta. Maybe this year, when these fish start flooding in from the bay, maybe we'll have a good striper run. So you guys that are out there fishing stripers, let me know what's going on. Send me a report. With that, before we get into a little tournament talk and what's going on out here with the largemouth, I just want to say that with the weather that came in this last week, it really kind of fouled things up. It really blew the river out. We went from 5 feet of visibility down to maybe 6 inches of visibility in most places. The water temperatures dropped, and this past week, from reports that I've gotten and things that I've seen, I've had reports that the water dropped all the way down to I think 48 degrees, one guy said he got. Now that guy was out early morning, and by midday it had warmed back up to 52. But I have seen reports from 48 degrees to 61 degrees just recently. So the water is on a warming trend right now. But you know, with everything, you put everything together with these fronts that came in last week, water clarity diminishing, temperatures dropping, fronts, barometers jumping around, it was bad. And how bad was it? Let's go over a few tournament results. The Thursday tournament, Cam usually sends me a report with all the boats that go out and the numbers they have and everything else. Last week he sent me an emoji, and it was basically a big steaming pile of poop. That was his report. I found that first place was 2 fish for 6 pounds. These are the same guys that were fishing last week and put in a couple of 20-pound bags, and you know, all along have been, you know, putting up some pretty good numbers. 2 fish for 6 pounds. No one could even put a limit in the boat. The Delta Bass Club, they were out, I think, Saturday. And I want to thank Chris for continually sending me the reports from the Delta Bass Club. And I think these are really important because Delta Bass Club right here, local guys out of, right out of basically Bethel Island. Weekend anglers, passionate anglers. They're not professional anglers. So what we see happen with the Delta Bass Club is probably more in tune with what you guys that are coming out on the weekends see. So they had 15 boats on Saturday. Low 50s water temperature, muddy conditions. First place, Ron Van Arsdale, he had 4.8 pounds. Second place, 3.6 pounds was Mike Guzman, and third place with 3.5 pounds was Rob Evans. Most people got skunked. Fishing was really, really difficult. And I feel like I need to announce those names because, you know, a lot of times when you have a low weight, you feel a little, you haven't done your best. But under certain conditions, when you catch 4 pounds, 3 pounds, whatever it is, and you win a tournament, that's just as important as if you catch 25 pounds. So guys, congratulations to the guys that topped the top 3 there. I know there weren't big weights, but you know what? It deserves a congratulations. Let's run right over to the BBT tournament. This is their golden mussel tournament. This was a 32 boat tournament. It was Sunday, last weekend. Here are the weights for the top 3. Number 1 was 23.3 pounds, Dan Font and John Clark. Second place, 22 pounds, Christian Ostrander and Mark. Third place was 19 pounds, 3 ounces, Ken Ma and Nick Salvucci. Fourth place dropped down to 13.6 pounds, and I want to congratulate Nick Kamamoto, a friend of the channel. Nick and Thomas were out. They had fourth place. Congratulations, guys. I know they've been out here, really struggling, not struggling, but working hard to get out here and find out where the fish were. Boy, midfield was 5 pounds out of 32 boats. They had 8 5-fish limits. 7 boats did not weigh in, and 11 boats had either 1 or 2 fish. So let's get back to the top 3. Everybody knows Christian, everybody knows Ken. Most of you guys that fish tournaments know Dan. If you don't know Dan, he is a longtime Delta angler, big stick. He's won plenty of tournaments out here. Another really, really good fisherman. All these guys know the Delta like the back of their hand. They all had good weights. And what separated the 20-pound bags from, I'll say, the mid-level, upper mid-level in that 12 to 14 pound bag was each one of the top 3 guys had one fish that was over 7 pounds. That's what separated top 3 from, a lot of the field. What you can see Thursday, terrible. Saturday, pretty bad. Sunday, we started to see a glimmer of hope. Since then, I have been getting reports, and the reports have all been on an upswing. I talked to Rob. Rob has been out, and Rob fishes a lot. I know you guys think he sits in that shop all the time, but God bless his wife Rachel. A lot of times she's the one in there, doing the dirty work, while Rob's out doing the scouting. Rob has been seeing much more consistent fishing, and by the way, Rob is, as much as he's been out, he's had his good days, had his bad days. He reported that he's finding water clarity is slowly but surely getting better, and water temperatures are rising. If you're out here this week, I'm suspecting that you're going to see 55, 56 degree water temps. Rob's catching fish. He got it was 6 or 7 pounder. I'll put the picture up there. And he got a nice stringer of fish early in the week. They're starting to bite. He's reporting a lot of fish he's seeing in the shallows, and he's seeing some big fish. And he even reported a couple of fish that he thought were on the spawn. Christian is saying the same thing. He's seeing a lot of fish, here and there, and he also thinks the fish are getting ready to spawn or in pre-spawn. These are 2 guys that I respect, and I believe both Christian and Rob. My feeling is that pre-spawn is pre-spawn, and it's very early pre-spawn. There may be a few fish coming up that we're going to see in certain areas that are getting ready to get into that spawn. But my opinion is that's probably 5% of the fish in the Delta or less. We're going to have a moon phase coming up this week, and I don't think this is going to be the moon phase that we see the fish rush into the shallows. My prediction is it's going to take that 2 or 3 weeks. The next moon phase that we see, that's where we're going to see some more active spawning. But with that being said, you got guys like Christian and Rob out here, and they're seeing fish in the shallows. They're thinking they're getting close to spawn. You got to believe them. Literally, all of the reports that I've been getting, and all of the people that I have been talking to at the dock, and those reports have not been good. Now, I am doing my report a day early because, as I had mentioned in the start of the video, that I have some commitments that I have to take care of. And I am really, man, it's tough, because I really think my prediction for this coming week is if you guys get out, you are going to have some good fishing. Water temperatures are rising. I'm looking at the water here at Paradise Point, which has been literally 0 to 6 inches. Now we've got 1 foot to 1.5 foot of clarity, and it's going to get better by the day, because there's no prediction for rain in the next couple of weeks that I know of. And we're also going to have some sunny weather that's going to warm that water up. So for you guys coming out, my prediction next week is going to be a good one. You're going to find fish. They're going to be active. The fish that have been being caught in the last week have all been literally 80% worms, 20% chatterbaits, and every now and then somebody's been punching a fish or two, but it's been pretty specific. The fish are tight, they're shallow, and they're not moving around them as much. But what I have found is pre-front, I was on some fish. I haven't been moving around a lot. I'm fishing within 5 miles of Paradise Point. I've got 4 or 5 spots that I had been catching fish, so I knew where the fish were, and I wasn't, killing them out here, but I was going out on a daily basis, getting my 5 fish limit of good fish, solid fish, generally 13 to 15 pounds. Wasn't picking up any big fish, just those 3-pound fish, 3 1/4 pound. Things were looking good. I knew where the fish were. I knew what they were biting on. That storm came in. I tried to fish through the fronts, knowing where I was catching the fish and what I was catching them on didn't make a darn bit of difference, and because I made a big mistake. My plan of going out and fishing the same areas and doing the same things through the fronts that I did before the fronts did not pay off. And that's what I want to talk about. This time of year, if you are a working man and maybe you've got 8 hours to fish in the next week and you have the choice of maybe coming out for one day for 4 hours, maybe doing some chores, and then getting out another day for 4 hours and finishing up your chores. Try to get out on one day and fish through the tides. If you have 8 hours, stay out there for 8 hours. Now, if you know where the fish are and you know what tide they are biting on, then I would say take those 4-hour chunks and go out on your tide and fish your places where you know the fish are. You'll probably do better. But if you haven't been out and you don't know where the fish are, it's better to spend an 8-hour day. And that has been really important for me, especially when I was locating the fish, because even when I was having good days, I was going for 2 and 3 hours without picking up a bite. One day I was out there, I knew I fished for 4 hours without a sniff. It was one of the better days that I had, and I think I had around 15 pounds. But I fished for, I think, about 6 hours. First 4 hours, not a bite. The last 2 hours, I think I caught about a dozen fish, and I had some really nice, solid fish in that bag. But it's really important, to be out there and stay through the day if you can. Fish that tide. It is the number one tide has been the high outgo switch. That's the primary bite. For me, the secondary bite was on the low income, and that was just kind of a minor bite. The other thing that I'll say is the fish that are active are very shallow. They're up tight to tules. They're up tight to structure. Precision casting is super important. Soaking your bait. One thing that I didn't do through the storms is I continued to fish at the same speed that I fished before the storms, and I think that was too fast. The people that I talked to, I think it was Nick Kanemoto, who had about a 14-pound bag. We talked about his 4th place finish in the BBT. He was catching them on worms, and he was really slowing down. I will also say, let's see, Christian had one of those 7-pound fish. He caught his on a chatterbait. All that being said, this is a new week. Everything is looking like, it's going to break loose. Again, I'm going to try to say this one more time without breaking down in front of everybody. Because of prior commitments, I will not be on the river this week. And I'm going to break down, aren't I? I think I'm going to miss some really good fishing. You guys come out, have a good time, enjoy the river. You should catch a lot of fish. Be safe, and if you go out, make sure you send me a report, because I'm going to be depending on your reports for the next week. With that, make sure you keep tuned in Deep on the Delta. Keep watching those videos. I appreciate all you guys watching. So thanks a lot. See you guys on the river. Not this week, but next week.